All right, well, the final day of SEC Media Days, I hate to be Debbie Downer, a buzzkill. It's tough. It's gonna be a tough scene for the amount of people that have been here and the amount of people that will filter out because you got to catch flights and do all that stuff. But it'll be difficult, I think, for the likes of Auburn and Arkansas and Kentucky and Texas A&M because none of them feel quite like what Tuesday felt like, where it was 4 teams legitimately in the 12-team playoff hunt discussion, however you want to call it. And these 4 teams on this last day, not necessarily a coincidence, are more on the outside of that conversation. So I feel bad for those programs. I always feel bad for the Thursday programs. I always do. It's a tough look, but I don't necessarily have the highest of expectations. Maybe that just means we're set up to get the best quotes that we've had all week.
Oh, dude, I think this is... I'm so fascinated to see who set this schedule, how they figured all this out, because I think there's a situation where everybody wins, right? Because I was talking about like the Tri-Wizard tournament, like these big programs like Kalen DeBoer walking out and being like, I am from Alabama. And it's like, wow, which one of those 4 coaches do you think like wants to be here?
That's a good point.
I think this is perfect. They would rather have an empty room. They would do COVID rules and have nobody asking them questions.
No, I think Sam Pittman's fine with it. I think he's perfectly fine in his own skin.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily
he
think...
has fun, but remember, he's so on the hot seat.
I know, but at the same time,
yeah.
I don't know that Pittman is going to get grilled in the same way that a lot of others would be, kind of on the hot seat.
People like him, yeah.
Yeah, because I think people like him more. He's very comfortable in his own skin. I think he's kind of an extrovert, whereas... I think Elko has a vision to sell with his program, but at the same time, if you told Mike Elko, hey, you can just go watch film for an hour instead of doing this, he'd be like, yes, I'll watch 5 hours of film instead of doing this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and Stoops, of course,
he brought all interior life.
Yeah.
As did April, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Hopefully we're going to be able to get, I'm trying to get Deion Walker on for next week. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. TBD, it's very difficult to be able to get these guys player interviews for the way that we kind of set it up off to the side and stuff, not just in like a media scrum and whatnot, or even some of the Radio Row stuff is difficult when there's 6 minutes or 7 minutes and then there's somebody just saying like, hey, finish, last question. I hate that. That's why I don't do all of that. If you're wondering why I don't do 30 interviews while we're here, I used to try and do that.
Yeah.
And then I thought, maybe we don't. We do have an interview coming up with Jordan Rogers that'll be out next week as well. Great to be able to catch up with him in person, as we always do at Media Days. But only other thing that I wanted to ask you about, all SEC ballot.
Need to do that.
Need to fill it out. Classic Thursday afternoon activity.
Yep.
I am pre-mad about the transfers and about the Texas and Oklahoma guys that will not be included on first and second team. I think like Kelvin Banks is going to be fine. I think Quinn Ewers will probably be a second team All-SEC guy if I had to guess. But I am pre-mad about some of those snubs of like a Nick Anderson not necessarily getting that love, or if we're talking about Danny Stutzman not as a first team All-SEC guy, it's like what are we doing? This guy's preseason All-American. Like this shouldn't necessarily be the case, but I am pre-mad about that, and I might just, I don't want to say overcompensate on my ballot, but I will make note of that and make sure that I am not part of the problem.
Yeah, I think on a related note, I haven't done this. I actually don't remember the last time I did a ballot because I was there, but I was like a media member. The last time I think it was like 17. But I think the way to do this, right, is I pick Alabama and Georgia, and then I get mad at them for not living up to those expectations. That's what I'm going to do.
Please don't default to Alabama and Georgia for all your lineman picks. Parker Brailsford's worthy, though, even as a transfer who's going to Bama because of what he did at Washington, and somebody that should greatly help the interior of that offensive line.
Yep.
But I do think that there will be a lot of those snubs that are frustrating, and I get it. It's tougher now because there are 16 teams. It's difficult to be able to figure out this, depth charts and stuff like that. I think running back is going to be just a total crapshoot. Somebody pointed out to Montrell Johnson today, you're the first running back of the week that's been here. Isn't that crazy?
It's great. This Montreal Johnson, dude. That's Billy's guy.
Yeah.
That's actually so wild, dude. Are there any tomorrow?
Gosh, that's a good question.
What happened to the position I used to love?
That's right. It's so weird. It is so weird. We talked about that when we did the which SEC running back will lead the conference in rushing, and it's strange. The turnover is so significant when Judkins leaves and Etienne, goes from Florida to Georgia. Not that Etienne was like a top 5 rusher or anything, but there's so much turnover at that position. So that's going to be difficult. There's probably going to be weird snubs there. We'll probably do something on the pod about this next week to be able to talk about all SEC snubs.
Is there any one specific player that you can almost guarantee will get snubbed, like a guy that just to watch out for that's not going to get it?
It's a good question.
And
man.
while you think about that, I'm going to say last year it was old boy from Arkansas, the interior lineman, which it turns out...
Bo Limmer?
Turns out they were right.
Yeah.
I don't know about him specifically, just the line in general.
Yeah.
He didn't make it back to the end of the year to you.
Yeah, like Landon Jackson's, if we're talking Arkansas, Landon Jackson's a guy that shouldn't be left off, but maybe he will because he's, a smaller school guy. Like that's the type of stuff that always gets me. Like somebody probably, there's like 3 all SEC teams and CJ Taylor's not going to be on one of them or something like that, even though he's good enough to be, even though he's at Vandy. I don't know, a quarterback, everybody's going to feel like they're getting snubbed. We've talked about that. It's potentially the best year of preseason hype for SEC quarterbacks since 2013, and maybe even more depth than them, but definitely more star power in 2013. So, yeah, I do think that snubs will be had, and there will be more discussion about them because the league is bigger and they added so much more talent.
I don't think that human beings, and especially not human beings that aren't like doctors or lawyers, are meant to retain this amount of information. Yeah. I think 14 was kind of the outer limit of my brain. Thank God for Vandy, not to be mean, but like not a lot I got to worry about there. I am sitting here like, I mean, it's crazy because like to the point about Thursday, it's like I'm so glad that those teams are kind of not flashy trying to make a headline teams, because I'm trying to remember like who's on every team, who said what, who went on which days, in what order. And so, like, yeah, the concept of having to pick favorites between that many players.
It's a blur, man.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it now. Nick Scorton's going to be the guy who's going to get left off all SEC.
That's a good one.
He's going to get left off first team, and I'm going to be really mad about it. If Deion Walker gets left off first team all SEC, we're going rage mode, because that would just be an insane thing. I don't think that'll happen.
Who's the first team running back? Was it Montreal Johnson?
The first team running back could be Montreal Johnson. See, the difficult thing is I probably won't. I think CJ Baxter is going to lead the conference in rushing. But there's a difference with doing the projection. We talked about this before versus what's legitimately a preseason honor, right? Because I think more of that should just be based on what you've done so far, what the player that you are if you stepped onto the football field tomorrow. But that's a really good question, man. I think there's a really good chance that Montreal Johnson will be that guy. Guys, who else? I don't think Rocket Sanders is going to get it because of the injuries.
Yeah. He already kind of had that year last year where everybody predicted big things out of him and it just didn't really come true.
Yeah, so I don't think he's going to necessarily get it either. I bet Justice Haynes will be part of that conversation as well, just because Bama running back, why wouldn't he be? Yeah. The guy who's probably going to get it is Jarquez Hunter. I bet Jarquez Hunter will be the first team All-SEC running back.
He is so Johnson is. I'm with you there because he's such a high usage guy. He's a safe pick. So I think guys will think of him and be like, okay, he'll get the touches. That's the only thing about Hunter is that he's a little bit. And I think he's going to have more of a.
I think he will too
this year. Yeah.
Yeah. He had a weird offseason last year. Obviously, we don't need to get into that. He's probably the best bet to be the first team guy. I think he's going to be there with Auburn. I think he will be there, so we will have more running back representation.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the key. We're not really forgetting guys. This is just kind of weirdly right now preseason, kind of a down year for running back. Okay.
Very much. This is not 2015. This is not 2015. Needless to say. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that's a wrap for Media Days. We probably won't be doing an in-person pod for a long time, which is sad. Love being able to do in-person pods.
It's fun, man.
Shout out to you for this luxurious setup that we got. This makeshift.
It looks like a literal tornado came here as soon as that eye line stops. But that's my job, you know?
Thank God that's off camera. Yeah.
I'm making Connor uncomfortable with my mess. But just know, I donated my room. Here we are, you know, for the team.
Exactly. Our podcast studio, a.k.a. Will's bedroom. But yes, follow all of our coverage, SaturdayDownSouth.com. Lots and lots of great stuff coming out. Derek's been doing awesome work for us. Matt Hayes has our entire news team. Just so much work that's been done this week. We've got some karaoke to go do tonight.
Yeah.
Hopefully by the time people are listening to this, I will have crushed it. Mm-hmm. My karaoke will probably be on the internet somewhere for people to be able to see. Pray for your boy. Pray for your boy. It'll be good. Year 3 of this. All right, well, if you have not, leave us a 5-star review. You should subscribe to the Saturday Down South YouTube channel where you can watch all of our great content. We even throw up like being on Feinbaum the other day, and we include stuff like that. We're trying to do more of that as well. So subscribe to the Saturday Down South YouTube channel, and then follow us on Twitter at CJ O'Gara, at Go So Hard, at the SDS Pod, at Set Down South. Thanks, guys. Talk soon.